When it comes to films released in 2024, Wicked has certainly made a statement. The film itself, the quality of it, but also the marketing behind it and the weird behavior from the lead actresses.
We're really sorry. It just happens.
It's really
It
emotional.
happens. We can't help it.
Will you two shut up?
Now, the funny thing is, Wicked, you have these two actresses, Cynthia Erivo on the left and Ariana Grande on the right, and they're an emotional wreck in these interviews. They're crying all the time, they're touching each other. It's all quite weird and a bit odd, but it doesn't matter because the film has the quality, and they have the quality. Like, you can separate the artist from the art here because their art is great in this film. They put in fantastic performances, they have great chemistry. And you believe their friendship, you believe that dynamic as the film goes on, as it blossoms, and they both have superb singing voices. So all the components are there to make Wicked a fantastic musical experience. Regardless, the two of them do need to get a grip, especially Cynthia Erivo, because before the film even came out, she had that whole drama around the poster because people were doing some fan art with it and making it look like the original stage show poster, so just paying homage to it. And with that stage show poster, the witch's face is covered by her hat. And with Cynthia Erivo, she thought, oh, hold on, you're deleting me, and went on a whole little rant about it. And I think she has now sort of retracted a bit of it and said it was a bit of a heat of the moment sort of thing. But at the same time, you're part of this massive blockbuster film. Maybe hold your tongue for a second and don't be so self-absorbed about this sort of thing. But yeah, she's done that, and then she's also said that people should be allowed to sing along during screenings. The Rock's even said that as well, saying that if you paid your money, you should be able to sing along. I'm like, hold on, there are dedicated sing-along screenings for this exact purpose. Like, why should just a normal screening have some random Susan next year belting out Defying Gravity like the Swinging Cats round?
Make it stop!
So yes, these actors may test your patience, but when it comes to the film, the only thing that's going to test your patience is whether you can wait until next November for part 2, because this is only part 1, and I think with that, a lot of people might be buying tickets to go and see the stage show so they can find out what happens ASAP. And you might be thinking, hold on, I didn't see part 1 on the poster. And you're correct, because they chose not to include that in the marketing campaign. And for good reason, because last year with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, that didn't really work out for them. And many in the past, many other franchises, the whole Part 1 thing hasn't worked so well because people know it's only half the story. They know that they're going to have to wait for Part 2. Is that going to be years to wait? People aren't patient these days, but it's a generation of TikTok where people get things as quickly as they want to, and they want it as convenient as possible as well. So yeah, going for just Wicked is a smart move. It gets people in the cinema, and they see part 1 on the title card, but they're already there for it. And luckily for Wicked, the film starts in a great way. The first song really gets you sort of tucked into what you're about to see. And I think that's the good thing of any film, really. Have a great start, but also a great finish. And this has a great finish.
That was totally wicked!
With this film, it has a runtime of 2 hours and 40 minutes. And if you compare that to the musical, that goes for 3 hours with a 15-minute intermission. Now, this film only actually goes up to that intermission point. And so with that ending, you can understand why it's so dramatic and applause-worthy. And it really, I think I've heard in some screenings that people did actually clap at the end. And it leaves people on a great note. As I leave the cinema, you have a great song, one of the best songs at the end in your head still. And that soundtrack by Steven Schwartz is just great. I mean, it's not just 1 or 2, there's about 3 or 4, even 5 or 6 maybe songs you'll love and want to listen to over and over again. And so if you like musicals, bloody hell, Wicked is one of the best ones you'll see. So for those unaware of what Wicked is even about, in simple terms, it is an origin story for the Wicked Witch of the West from the Wizard of Oz, who's called Elphaba. And in this story, she is more of a misunderstood character, as we see her attend Shiz University. That's where she meets Glinda, who at the time is called Galinda, and she's a character who gets picked on for being green and being different, and so she's someone we can feel empathy towards. However, this is not just a simple character study, as we get to learn more about the world of Oz, and things really get fleshed out. We get to learn about the discrimination against animals as they're losing their voices, and how that all ties in with Elphaba's story. And that's quite fascinating because with the Wizard of Oz, we're really just following Dorothy on her journey. But to actually now see this world be fully fleshed out and get to learn more about some more of the ins and outs, what happened beforehand, yeah, that's something that it keeps you going and it keeps you wanting to learn more. I mentioned Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande's off-screen performances earlier, but in terms of on-screen, as I said, they are fantastic. And with Cynthia Erivo, I remember seeing her in the film called Bad Times at the El Royale. I thought she was a great acting talent, but I didn't know she had that big voice within her, and she just is a complete package for this character. And I think she really gets into the depths of the character very well as well, so she makes it believable and you can really get alongside her. Likewise with Ariana Grande, she's a bit different. She's more of a character which you would see in something like Mean Girls or High School Musical, but she's very aware of that, and she has some good comedic timing, and she's a character who grows within the film. And I think with that sort of character, it's one where you could easily hate them if they didn't do this right. But I think Ariana Grande really walks that fine line well. And again, when these characters do eventually become friends within the film, that is a friendship you really want to support. Speaking of support, all the supporting actors seem well suited for their roles as well, including Michelle Yeoh as the head of Shiz. And I think she's a character who I wasn't completely sure what to make of her at the start. And again, with the film as it goes on, you learn more about this character. Jeff Goldblum was also perfectly cast here as the Wizard of Oz. And if you've seen him in real life before, this seems like an effortless role for him. He just walks on set and does his thing because, yeah, it's Jeff Goldblum. So I feel like this is the sort of role which is what he was born to play, this sort of thing.
And you gotta give the people what they want.
With a good chunk of this film taking place at Shiz University, quite a few of the students have a moment or two to shine, but I think it's when the prince, who's played by Jonathan Bailey, comes in, he really does bring a bit of a presence to the film and sort of elevates it a little bit. He has a big long song and dance sequence at the start, and he gets involved in the main sort of aspects of the story. And he's a character who you are attracted to in terms of you want to sort of understand what he's all about, more so than some of the other characters. I personally have not seen the musical, so I'm not sure how it compares, but with this being such a long film for only half of the story, there are portions here which will have been padded to make that runtime. And sometimes you do feel like some of the scenes do go on maybe 1 or 2 minutes too long, or even a little bit more, but it's usually just a little bit, at the end of the scene, or maybe it's just gone on slightly too long. It's never really dragging you down. You never feel like, oh, I wish this would hurry up and finish sort of thing. And to be fair, the film feels like it's more like a 2 hours and 20-minute film than a 2 hours and 40-minute film, which is a credit to how, the pacing of the film. And also, like I said, the music is very good. And I think certain songs come at good times, like Popular, that's around the middle sort of portion. That gets you going again. After maybe some of the songs, maybe beforehand, weren't as good. But like I said, there's probably about 6 songs, I'd say, which are really good songs that I'd like to listen to again. I have listened to a couple of them again, and that is what you need in any musical, is the songs to give you that foundation to keep you through those moments which might be a bit more difficult to engage with. So yeah, Wicked was a real surprise for me because that trailer didn't really sell me on it, but the quality is absolutely there, and it's one of the best films of the year, one of the best musicals in some time. Definitely worth seeing in the cinema for that sound more than anything. For a musical, you got to have good sound. And I think when it comes to next year, I can't wait to see part 2, and maybe I'll have to go and see the musical in between because, I'm kind of tempted to find out what happens. So yeah, really impressive turnout from director John M. Chu, who's also done films like Crazy Rich Asians. But this sort of film, this is the one to really put him on the map properly. And in terms of the financial success, which is always the big thing we've got to look at, it's doing pretty well as well, because of $262 million domestically and $97 million from overseas markets, it's grossed around $360 million worldwide on a budget of $150 million, which, of course, you got to factor in the marketing budget, which won't be included on that total. So really, it needs around, I would say, well, I think the marketing for Wicked is going to be quite high. So I would say it needs around 450 to break even. But you got to think, we've still got a whole festive period to go through, and that's already less than 100 million to go, and it's definitely going to do that. Wouldn't be surprised if it hits $1 billion. And it's a sort of film like, if you remember a few years ago, we had The Greatest Showman. It had legs. It went on for months with people watching it over and over again. People, not just going once, they'll take their friends. The word of mouth was spread. People go and take their family to see it. So I think Wicked has the potential, like The Greatest Showman, just to be in the cinema for quite a few weeks yet and just build a mountain of cash. It also doesn't hurt that alongside Gladiator 2 and Moana 2, Wicked has helped gain a record-breaking $420 million domestic box office record over the Thanksgiving weekend. So that is pretty incredible. Also, we can't forget the merch because there's absolutely tons of stuff. And Mattel have now apologized for their little blunder with their dolls. And they've also advised parents to discard the product packaging or obscure the link. I think that is good advice, of course, for any dolls in the possession of children. I mean, if it's your doll, I mean, you do what you want with that link, I guess. Have a wicked time.
I like where this is going. Giggity, giggity, giggity.
Is Wicked the sort of film to get Oscar nominated, though? Well, I think this year it has a good chance because a lot of the Oscar bait films have been pretty disappointing. So I think this will probably get a Oscar Best Picture nomination. For technical things, I think, yeah, definitely it'll get in for them. Probably be up against Dune Part 2 for many of those. For acting, Cynthia Erivo, why not? I mean, I don't really know many other actresses right now on the field who are definitely going to be getting those nominations. But so there's potential there. Also, Ariana Grande, maybe, I don't know. That's maybe more of a lesser chance than maybe Cynthia Erivo, I think. But I think it'll probably get quite a handful at the very least, and it should probably win a few as well, especially those technical ones. Some people said the film looks bad. I can say, I think at times, yes, I understand, but also sometimes I think it looks pretty colourful, quite vibrant. But there are certain scenes, yes, where it doesn't all mesh well together. So overall, when you look at the mission for this film, it was to adapt that stage musical of Wicked for the big screen and do it in a part 1 and a part 2. And this part 1 is incredibly solid. It's really well done. I think there's a lot of love and craft towards this film, and you can see it all on screen, and that makes a big difference when you see that. Even some of the practical sets, that sort of stuff, you really feel the magic of it. And even if obviously, if you don't like musicals, you're probably not going to like it. But for those who do love it, I think they're obviously going to love it. But for those who, like myself, are more in the middle, I really enjoyed it. It's one of the best ones I've seen for some time. In terms of movies, one of the best of the year, definitely, because, when you look at it in terms of the mission, lots of the films this year haven't completed their mission, whereas this film has, and fair play to it. So, yeah, I can't wait for part 2, but let me know your thoughts. What did you think of Wicked Part 1? Have you seen the stage musical? Let me know all those thoughts down below. If you like these sort of videos, subscribe for more. And if you want to watch another video, on screen are a couple of my recent reviews.